Friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Medical Classes by Shri Kumar Acharya. Don't forget to subscribe my channel and also please give your valuable comments. So, as we know, uh, basic principles of Ayurveda has been considered as eternal, and therefore Ayurveda is also called as Shashwat because the principles of Ayurveda has been laid down thousands of years back. And in spite of that, those principles even today also holds true. And there is no change in the basic principles of Ayurveda. Although in the contemporary science we see the day-to-day changes. Hence, we can also assume that our science is a complete science, completely developed science, because we have been not seen any changes in the basic principles of Ayurveda since last 5,000 years. Anyhow, today we will explain one of such topic, which is very basic principle of Ayurveda, and that is called as gut-brain axis. Yes, gut-brain axis is nowadays a highly discussed topic. Now, if you see the contemporary science also, now they try to correlate each and every disease to the gut-brain axis, although previously they are not doing it. And now they come to know that, yes, every disease has got some relationship with the gut. And all the diseases start with the gut. This is the version of the father of the contemporary medical science, that is Hippocrates. He says that all the diseases start from the gut. Anyway, this gut-brain axis is nowadays gaining importance, and along with gut-brain axis, there is another word which is also gaining importance, that is gut microba. Gut microbiota or gut microba is a very important aspect in maintaining the healthy status of the person. Now we know that uh, gut microba are starting from the intestine and throughout the large intestine, large bowel. So we have got the different types of microorganisms which are present in the gut. We will also call it as intestinal bacterial flora. Lactobacillus, bifidus bacteria. So these are the major bacteria who are present, and these bacteria are considered as friendly bacteria. They do not cause, even to some extent, E. coli is also present. And these bacteria are considered as healthy bacteria, and they do not cause any problem to the individual. Rather, they helps to maintain the pH of the gut and also helps in the absorption of the digested food material. So therefore, once your gut microbiome is good and gut microbiome is well nourished, then your absorption will be good. And now the new concept is gut-brain axis. And we also believe that a second brain exists in the gut. If you see the primordial animals like the roundworm, or you can say earthworm, and so many reptiles and all, actually in their body, the brain actually exists in the gut area. And later, as the evolution takes place, then there is a development of another separate brain. So far, we see in humans and so many other animals, there is development secondary brain. But previously, in the initial part of the evolution of the organisms on Earth, there is no separate the head brain. Okay, so the brain itself is existing in the truncal area itself, trunk. Okay, so therefore, primordially there is a brain was existing, and later onwards there is a further modification in that, and as a result, there is formation of another brain, which we call it as CNS today. But still, that particular primordial brain is also existing in the gut area, and that is the main concept of gut-brain axis. So gut is nowadays it is called a second brain of the person. Gut is called a second brain of the person. The first brain is head brain, CNS. And Ayurveda explains, therefore, the maintenance of this particular gut brain or gut microbiota is very important for the maintenance of the healthy status of the person. And Ayurveda understands this from the beginning itself. And therefore, Ayurveda very clearly says, Rogaha sarvepi mandak. Sutara mudurani chaha. Okay. So for every disorders, according to Ayurveda, it will start from the mandagni and ajirna. And that itself is the basic cause of almost all the disorders. Okay. So ajirna do occur in the gut, small and large intestine, starting from the duodenum and all those things. And Therefore, every disease starts from the gut. And even Hippocrates also say the same thing. Every disease starts from the gut. Okay. So Ayurveda 5,000 years back itself very clearly told that. So gut itself is the root cause of all the disorders. Therefore, any um, the hazards, or what you say, the disturbance which is taking place in the gut area itself is the root cause of the disease. Therefore, Ayurveda says rogaha sarvepi mandana. Ajirna is the root cause of all the disorders. Now, one of the best way of nourishing this particular gut brain axis is maintain the gut microbiota. Okay, once the gut microbiota is well maintained, naturally gut brain axis will be also maintained. We will see that later. Okay, and therefore Ayurveda says takra. Takra, it contains lactic acid, and then it contains lactobacillus. Lactobacillus bacteria are very rich in takra, or what you say, buttermilk. Therefore, Ayurveda always says takram shakrasya durlabham. Shakra means Indra. For Indra also takra is very, very precious, or it is durlabham. So takra is very important to maintain the gut microbiota. Okay, so similarly, so many of the panchakarmas which are explained. We may talk about Vamana, we may talk about Virechana, talking about Basti. Actually, in all these three, the gut itself is involved. Vamana is also clearing the gut from the upper part of the body, Virechana from the lower part of the body, and Basti is nothing but, again, from the large intestinal area. So, all the treatment principles of Ayurveda has been aimed towards the gut area itself, because they know that if you are able to maintain the healthy status of the gut, okay, then you're able to maintain the healthy status of gut microbiota and also gut brain axis. Now, a few words about the gut brain axis. Gut brain axis is actually called as a second brain, and there is a connection between the main CNS and as well as the gut brain. Okay, so we will see that in later, but still, they are actually two separate. Now, gut acts as a separate nervous system. Okay, gut acts as separate nervous system. CNS is there, but gut acts as separate nervous system. The only connection between this gut brain and the actual brain, CNS brain, is through the vagus nerve, parasympathetic nerve flexus through the vagus nerve. Vagus nerve is the only one nerve which connects these two. Otherwise, they are independent. Otherwise, these two are completely independent, and we will see that later. So this great. So if you are able to modulate the gut brain, then you are also able to influence the main brain. So this is the idea. So Ayurveda always says it. Vata, the sthana of the Vata is Pakvashya. That is in the gut. And if you're able to maintain the healthy status of the Pakvashya and keep Vata dosha under control, okay, undernourished, under proper nourishment and all, and you properly nourish it, then it indirectly influences the main brain. And as a result, you can get the results. So therefore, all our Basti, etc. procedures, they are mainly aimed in this regard. You will see that. Now, first we come to the gut-brain axis. The concept of enteric nervous system has been explained in the contemporary science also. Now, enteric nervous system is nothing but it is an autonomic nervous system. Okay, so nowadays it is studied under the heading of neurogastroenterology. Neurogastroenterology. Now, this enteric nervous system is controlling the gastrointestinal system movements and the secretions. So, what is the main function of this autonomic nervous system controlling the gut? That is neurogastroenterology or the enteric nervous system. The main function is it controls the gastrointestinal movements, that is especially the peristaltic movements, and also different types of secretions which is taking place throughout the GIT. Now, actually, this system it extends from the esophagus to anus. We know that. Okay, wall of the gut wall starts from the esophagus and it will go to end at the anus. This is also called as second brain. Why? Because it operates independently. It operates most of the time. It operates independently, and it also communicates with the main brain, CNS. Now, in the enteric nervous system, the major portions of the enteric nervous system, or what we say gut-brain axis or gut-brain, it's myenteric flexus, then Arbax flexus, and submucosal flexus, which are present in the wall of the gut or intestine. Okay, so three main flexus are there. One is myenteric flexus and Arbax flexus. Myenteric flexus and Arbax flexus. So they mainly control the movement of the intestinal muscles. And submucosal flexus which are present, so they are mainly related to the secretion and control of the blood flow of the gut. So these are the three important nerve flexes which contribute to the enteric nervous system. So they are present in each and every segment of the intestinal loops. Intestinal loops. They are also called as marginal flexes, etc. Now, if you see the total number of neurons which is present in this gut brain, that is all these flexes. So they are about 100 million neurons. There are about 100 million neurons, which is almost one of thousand portion of the brain neurons, and 1/10 of the spinal cord. So that means that much of neuron itself is present in the gut area. Okay, therefore it's called gut brain. 1/1000 portions of the neurons which are present in the brain. So that much is present in the gut area, and about 1/10th portion of the spinal cord, it is present in the gut area. So it's a significant amount. It's a significant amount. So it forms its own brain axis, and this is what is operating in the lower animals, primordial animals. Okay. So now the type of the neurons which are present in the gut brain area is, one is, there are efferent types, just like the CNS. We have got efferent type of neurons in the gut brain. We have got efferent types of neurons. We have got interneurons, which are all capable of carrying the reflexes. They are all able to carry the reflexes from the gut towards the brain. Okay. Now, this gut brain also contains, that is, these three flexes. Gut brain is these three flexes: myenteric, subarvax, and submucosal flexes, and other areas. Now, they are also having some of the supporting cells. Okay. So, these supporting cells which are present in the gut brain, so they are almost all similar to the astralia cells of the brain, the brain's astrocytes. So they are the supporting cells of the brain. Similarly, we find some of the cells which are supporting cells for the gut brain. So there is also a diffusion barrier junctions similar to the blood-brain barrier in the brain. We know that there is a blood-brain barrier, isn't it? Similarly, in the intestine also we find the diffusion barrier junctions. Okay, so all these points helps to understand that previously in the lower animals, the brain was itself in the gut. Later the evolution takes place and we have got a separate brain now, but still that brain is existing in our gut. Okay, although it is of compared to the main brain, it is less important, but still it is existing. Probably the main brain is get controlled by this brain only. Okay, so that part has to be now understood by the researchers. Now, now, if you talk about gut-brain axis, so this is a highly developed open nervous system. This is highly developed open nervous system, and it controls the local blood flow and also movement and secretion. Now, for the GAT, the main function of the GAT is absorption of the food, because food is needed for everything, isn't it? Neurological system, cardiovascular, respiratory, skin, epithelial, musculoskeletal, any of the system, they may not exist without nutrient, and that nutrient will be taken in, digested, assimilated, then absorbed, and then utilized. So this is only possible when the nutrients are getting absorbed through the intestine. Okay, so therefore gut is very, very important. Okay, once the absorption takes place properly, assimilated, get into the blood, then only the things are possible. Otherwise, how the other systems of the body get nourishes, that is the important of gut brain. Okay, now how this will take place? So the absorption and assimilation and all those things of the nutrient, that is only possible by the intestinal movements, intestinal secretions, and intestinal pH, etc. Because absorption is greatly depends on the pH. Okay, so now there are some sensory neurons. Now, gut brain also contains sensory and motor neurons, just like the main brain. Okay, the sensory neurons are also present. These sensory neurons which are present in the gut brain, they give the stimulus for the mechanical and chemical functions of the GAT. And motor neurons which carry out the peristalsis and churning. The churning, peristaltic movement of, that's the function of the motor neurons which are present in the gut brain. Whereas sensory neurons which are present in the gut brain, so they give the stimulus for the mechanical and chemical functions, because many of the functions are mechanical, some of the chemicals, secretions, the hormones, rather secretions of the enzymes, and the mucus gland, etc., mucus secretions, etc. Anyway, so we have got sensory neurons and also we have got motor neurons in the gut brain. Similarly, we have got different types of neurotransmitters. We know that when the nerve is existing, there should be some neurotransmitters. And if you see the neurotransmitters which is present in the neurons of the gut brain area, so about mainly serotonin is present. Serotonin is present. 9% of serotonin which is present in the body is only present in the enteric nervous system. Very important. Into amount out of the total 100% of serotonin which is present in the body, 9% itself is present in the gut brain area. And dopamine, about 50% of the dopamine is present in the intestinal area. See, very, very important. Okay, similar to that of the CNS. So dopamine and serotonin, these are the two important neurotransmitters which are present in the gut brain area. Apart from that, we also got adrenaline. We have got also some other this GABA like inhibitors. Everything is present in the gut brain also, but percentage is little low. Now, regulation of the enteric nervous system is by the sympathetic and as well as parasympathetic nervous system. Now, total regulation of this will take place by the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. I told that the parasympathetic nervous system, especially through the vagus nerve, 10th cranial nerve, so it comes to the lower spinal area, splanchnic plexus, and all those things. So they are able to control the lower abdominal parasympathetic and parasympathetic actions. Sympathetic action, we have got the sympathetic chain, starting from the cervical, the sympathetic ganglions will be present in the thoracic group of vertebrae, and from then there is formation of sympathetic chain, and sympathetic ganglions are formed, and through that it is controlled. So mainly ENS control, enteric nervous system control, is by sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. This is called as afferent motor nerve, visceral motor nervous system. Sympathetic and parasympathetic is also called as efferent motor fibers. Okay, so parasympathetic nerve mainly stimulate the ENS through the vagus nerve, as I told, and it increases the muscle tone, increases the motility, and also gastric acid secretion. We know that parasympathetic secretions are very stimulation is very important for all secretions. The basic function of the parasympathetic nervous system is, one is maintenance of the sleep, another one is the digestion of the food, another one is excretion of the food. So these are the basic three things of parasympathetic nervous system. Whereas sympathetic nervous system prepares for the emergency and all those things. Okay, so now parasympathetic nervous system, one of the main function is digestion and assimilation, and that comes under the parasympathetic nervous system, and that will take place in the intestine. Therefore, parasympathetic nervous system plays a important role in the gut brain. Okay, in the gut brain. Of course, sympathetic will increase the muscle activity and all those things, but digestion, etc., and absorption, etc., that is the function of parasympathetic nervous system, because parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for secretion of the enzymes. All the secretions are because of parasympathetic nervous system. Anyway, the sympathetic nervous system will inhibit the ENS. It causes the constriction of the sphincters and the slow food processing. This is the role how the sympathetic nerve plays here. Sympathetic nerves, which is present in the gut area, so they causes the constriction of the sphincters. Okay, constriction of the sphincter, and as a result, it gives a sufficient time for the food to pass through the intestinal loops, so that its absorption and assimilation is possible. So this is how these two things are working together. Now, if you see the nervous structure of the gut brain, okay, so there are some special cells are present in the gut brain area. That is these three or four flexes, and they're called as neuropod cell. They are called as neuropod cells. The stimuli, whatever the stimuli which is given to the intestine through the food. Therefore, Ayurveda always explains the way of taking the food is very important. Okay, how you are taking, whether you're slowly taking, with a cool mind you are taking, or after following all the ahara, matravat, lakshana you are taking. That is very important, because see, carefully listen to these words. So where they say that the stimuli which is given through the food to the intestine is converted into a tiny electrical pulses, and the efferent neurons which are present in the vagus nerve will carry them into the brain stem. So this is very important. That means ahara itself decides your activity, okay, or your response, whatever may be, because when you take the ahara, which type of ahara, that is also important. It may be sattvika ahara, tamasika ahara, rajasika ahara, or how you are taking the food, that is important, because according to the type of ahara, according to the way of taking the food, whether you are taking food after completion digestion of the previous food, vishamashana, samashana, because all these things will give different types of stimulus in the GIT. and that stimulus given through the food will be captured by these neuropod cells, and it is taken into the brainstem, and rest the next format of action will be decided. So these neuropod cells which are present there, so neuropod cells connection with the vagus nerve and serve as a mediator for the food in the gut to influence the brain function within few seconds. Within seconds, the action takes place within seconds. Okay, so this is a very important thing. This is what Ayurveda actually believe. Okay, so therefore Kashyapa also says Ahara Mahavishajya. Ahara itself is Mahavishajya. So this will sense the mechanical, thermal, and chemical stimuli such as nutrients or bacterial byproducts in the gut lumen. Okay, these neuropod cells, so they will sense the mechanical, thermal, and gut brain stimuli such as nutrients or bacterial byproducts in the gut lumen. So this connection is also a potential portal for gut pathogen to access into the brain. Okay, so this is new. This particular new knowledge is a foundation for designing the therapies to treat the disorders related to altered gut-brain signaling. Nowadays, if you see the contemporary science, the researchers are going, they are telling that autism is because of gut-brain axis, ADHD because of gut-brain axis, psychological disorders are because of gut-brain axis, so many other endocrine disorders are gut-brain axis, allergic disorders are gut-brain axis, autoimmune disorders are because of gut-brain axis problem. So they are now coming up with a new concept, but Ayurveda explains this 5,000 years back itself, and give the Ayurveda very clearly says give very importance, utmost importance for the food that you are taking. Okay, the Bahya Prana. Food is considered as Bahya Prana. And it's very clearly says, Sushruta says that Bahya Prana will go into nourishes the Anta Prana. Bahya Prana is food. And it itself will go into nourishes the Anta Prana. So therefore be careful when you are taking the food. And therefore Hita Ahara, Mita Ahara. So these things are very valuable in this particular context. So now we are understanding that after the contemporary science doing so many researches, we are coming to know that the importance of basic principles of Ayurveda, which is laid 5,000 years back. Now, the recent study shows that the neural stem cells from the gut biopsy, which can develop into any type of nerve cell. Now, the research has gone forward, and now they done some researches which shows that the neural stem cells when taken from the gut area, so they can develop into any other types of nerve cells, different types of nerve cells. Okay, so the gut brain axis transforms the information via the vagus nerve from the food to feeling. Now this is a new concept. Food is converted into feeling. Okay, so this is a function of the vagus nerve through the neuropod cells. So hot food, cold food. Okay, so they do have their own effects. Okay, paryushita ahara or fresh ahara or mita ahara, hita ahara, sukha ahara. So these things will have their own values. The villi is lined by a single layer of epithelium, which is made up of different cell types called as enteroendocrine cells. Now, this is a known fact. Villi is lined by a single layer of epithelium, and it is made up of different cell types, which are also called as enteroendocrine cells, which is unlike the others. It's called as gut sensor. Now, actual gut sensor is this enteroendocrine cells or neuropod cells. Okay, so this particular enteroendocrine cells which are present in the layer of the epithelium which is present in the villi is also called as enteroendocrine cells. Enteroendocrine cells. Now, brain or gut-brain axis and the main brain and gut brain, so they usually crosstalk. Okay, they have a connection. The connection is through the vagus nerve. And when disturbed, there may be so many other problems. When this particular connection is disturbed between the main brain, CNS brain, and as well as gut brain, there are so many problems occurring, like chronic inflammation leading to cancer, colon cancer, depression, multiple sclerosis, obesity, autism, ADHD, and even some of the endocrine problems, etc. Now, diseases of the civilization, the multiple lines of the study has been shown that the primary cause of this environmental associated inflammation may be the gut-brain axis, secondary to alteration of the gut microbes. Okay, so this is another important study which shows the primary causes of the environmental associated inflammations, anything is that may be because of the gut-brain axis the disturbance secondary to the alteration of the gut microbes, because our food habits have been changed, and we are not taking any probiotics, prebiotics, etc. But previously, in Indian system or in Ayurveda, very clearly explains the so many fermented items. In South India, we go for the idli, dosa, and all. In North India, again, dokla is there or jalebi. So they are made up of fermented items. Okay, so fermented items are always very conducive for the growth of the microbiota. Takra is again fermented item. Buttermilk is also a fermented item. And so any fermented item is very good for the gut microbiota. Once the gut microbiota is good, gut brain axis will be also maintained. Now, what Ayurveda says again about this, as I explained earlier, uh, so actually, if you see, the Ayurveda only explains about the gut-brain axis. They have given maximum importance for the gut-brain axis because they know that food itself is the root cause for all the disorders, and it has to be taken very properly. If it is an excess, it is considered as visha. If it is the right dose, it is called as amrita. And that food should be, it should not be vigorously taken or haphazardly taken. It should be also selective. Therefore, even Charaka also says that for the disease, hita and ahara itself is the main cause for the disease, which is occurring within the body. There may be so many other disorders, Sagan's disorder, which is coming from outside the body. That's a different issue. But any Nija rogas, which is happening within the body, Nija rogas, okay, the main cause is ahara. Main cause is ahara. So Ayurveda basically explains that Pakvashaya, or this gut itself, is the seat of Vata. If you are able to treat the Vata, that itself is a half chikissa, and Vata is responsible for the movement of the abnormal movement of the Pitta and Kapha both. Okay, so therefore you are able to control the Vata, then you can say that half of the treatment has been done. Okay, so you have to keep Vata under control, or vata under nourishment, whatever you say. So Pakvashaya is the main seat of Vata. So keep Pakvashaya get nourished or properly balanced. That's the main thing. That is the main thing. Therefore, the treatments like Basti is considered as the best treatment. It is also considered half treatment. Okay, so that's one important thing. So basic principles of Ayurveda directed through the gut-brain axis. Once the gut brain is proper, gut microbiota is proper, then they cross talk with the main brain, and so many neurological problems will be prevented. And all the disease start from the gut. Even modern Hippocrates also says the same thing. In 5,000 years back, Ayurveda also told the same thing. Roga hasra vipimandagno. And in the Grihani, they very clearly say, Grihani, Shanto Agni Mriyati. If the Agni is improper, if the Agni is not able to maintain, or Agni is not maintained properly, then Shanto Agni Mriyate. If the Agni is gone, that means that the person will going to die. So, okay, Chiram Jivatyanavaya, if the Agni is good, then the person will have a long lifespan. So, it's very clearly mentioned. It's a seat of Agni, it's a seat of digestion, seat of absorption, everything. Now, importance of the koshta is also mentioned in Ayurveda. Koshta, we also given, if you see everywhere, we always say that it should be given according to koshta, Mrudu koshta, Madhyama koshta, and then Krura koshta and Sama koshta. Okay, koshta, Krura, Mrudyo, Madhyasyapi, Samai Samaha. So Vagbata explains. So 4 types of koshtas are there. So Mrudu, Madhyama, and Krura. So Krura koshta is related to Vata. Mrudu is related to Pitta, and Madhyama koshta is related to Kapha. And again, there will be, when all the three are doshas are sama, then there is a sama koshta. And this koshta is seen before giving the medicines or before giving any procedures. We always consider the koshta. Koshta, that means we are taking care of this particular gut brain. Similarly, koshta shodhana. If you see Vamana, Virechana, and Bhastya, all the three are actually koshta shodhana. We are bringing the doshas from the Shaka Pradesha to the koshta. And from the koshta, we are cleaning all these things. Okay, so total principle, the basic principles of Panchakarma, it is directed to the gut brain itself. Okay, so Koshta Shodhana, the Panchakarma treatment, so they're also based on the principles of this gut brain. Or the intention is to keep this gut brain well maintained. Then we also got Deepana and Pachana, because Agni Deepana Chikitsa is mentioned in each and every disorder. Most of the time when you are seeing them. So why they are told that Agni Deepana is, because maintenance of Koshta is very important. Maintenance of the gut brain is very important. Gut microbiota is very important. One more important thing is when they're explaining about the Mooladhara Chakra. While explaining the Mooladhara Chakra, the the anal area. Uh, so that is also the first chakra which is mentioned. So there also that actually corresponds to this gut area only, the Mooladhara Chakra. Okay, anal area. So so like this, Ayurveda given sufficient references or sufficient very much Ayurveda have given a lot of importance for the gut brain axis. Although previous days it was not understood, now when contemporary people start telling about gut brain axis, now we are now little aware that yes, this particular concept is explained already in Ayurveda, and that itself is the base of our treatment. Okay, base of our treatment. So like that, we can understand this concept very well. So at the end, Ayurveda very clearly mentions about the concept of gut brain axis long back, and it is well incorporated in the Ayurvedic classical treatment and classical books also. Okay, thank you very much for your patience listening, and don't forget to subscribe my channel, and also please give valuable comments. We will meet in another class. Thank you very much.